Here's how Chris's Court of Public Opinion works, folks. We present a case. Our guest advocates argue each side of that case. And you, my beloved audience, you are the jury. You decide guilty or not guilty. Court is now in session. Today's case surrounds the release of documents from the era of the Obama regime. The documents indicate that not only was the narrative that Russia hacked our election and the subsequent Russia-Trump collusion hoax that they were 100% bogus. The documents also indicate that powerful and high-profile leftists, including Barack Obama himself, knew they were bogus, but unleashed the falsely predicated narrative and investigations anyway. Documents that you, the jury, can see are on the Chris Salcedo Show's home on X and Truth Social at C. Salcedo Show, at C. Salcedo Show, and at Chris Salcedo Show, respectively. The documents show the extent of the lies from Obama and his communist cabal. In a presidential daily brief dated December 8, 2016, Obama's own intelligence community determined that Russia did not impact U.S. elections. They also show that Obama gave the order to ignore the truth and go with the lie that was the Russia narrative to undermine the incoming Trump White House. President Trump commented on these revelations yesterday.
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released, but the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him?
The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, visited with our own Rob Schmitt last night and outlined the impact of Democrats' proven lies.
We will be releasing further documents tomorrow that will refute that statement. And I would go back and point to, and we will be pulling a whole host of statements that were made by the Obama administration, by Hillary Clinton, by senior Democrat officials, by their friends in the media that state over and over again after this January 2017 manufactured intelligence document was created that repeat the narrative.
And our friends at the Media Research Center strung together over 2 minutes from the corrupt left-wing media, a media that took the Democrats' false narrative, as they did with the Hunter Biden laptop, as they did with the Joe Biden cognitive decline, and the biased press arrogantly, blindly, and stupidly pushed out those Democrat lies.
Did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes, Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
President Trump says he still wonders if the Russians hacked the election.
If you can get him to accept that Russia hacked the election, see if you can get him to accept who won the Civil War.
If he admits it, it casts a shadow on his victory over Hillary Clinton.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Let's be clear, Russia hacked the election. Definitively, Russia hacked the election.
It's clear that the press, having the right of free speech, is not liable for any crime. They just proved once again that they are blatant liars and shouldn't be watched or read or trusted by the American people. But what about government? Did Barack Obama and his communist cabal break laws in their pursuit of unchallenged power? That's the question before Chris's court today. Here to present their cases, former chief counsel for the Senate Intelligence Committee, former senior Justice Department official and Newsmax contributor Victoria Tunsing, and former chief counsel for the Senate Rules Committee, former U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C., and Newsmax contributor Joe DiGenova, along with civil rights attorney Robert Patillo. Counselors, welcome to you all. As a historical footnote, folks, this is the first Chris's Court of Public Opinion actually features actual attorneys as advocates. So let's begin to argue the question before the court. Did Obama and his regime break laws as it pertains to the Russia election collusion hoax? First, both sides have 1 minute for your opening statements. The clock is strictly enforced by our producers. Victoria and Joe, you go first.
There's no doubt, based on the disclosures by Tulsi Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, that beginning in 2016 and through 2017 and up until today, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, James Brennan, James Comey, John Brennan, James Comey, and others led a conspiracy to deny Donald Trump his civil rights. They conspired to do so by spreading false information into interstate commerce. They fed it to the media. They fed it to the American people. They used it in official proceedings. And ultimately, that led to charges being brought to him by state authorities as well, based on false information. They violated his civil rights, and there should be a federal grand jury to investigate it thoroughly.
Robert, your opening statement, sir.
Well, I think it's very clear. President Trump was in office for 4 full years. We had 4 full years of a Biden term, and now we are now into the second Trump term. And suddenly, as soon as President Trump has questions about the Epstein files, oh my God, we've discovered this massive issue that we did not discover in the first 4 years that we were in office. It's clear what is going on here. President Trump is grasping at any string possible to try to deflect and distract from the fact that he lied to his MAGA base, and now they are demanding answers. Every effort has been made to distract from the fact that the American people are demanding answers to this Epstein issue, and no matter how far back in time you can go, this is almost a decade-old information that suddenly comes out just because President Trump is in trouble, and the American people see directly through it.
All right. Now, each side is going to have 2 minutes to present their evidence. Joe, Victoria, 2 minutes. The clock starts now. Go ahead.
Hillary Clinton started this conspiracy when she funded the Steele dossier. And then when she lost, her media team said, hey, we're going to blame it on Russian hacking. You can find that reported in the book Shattered, page 394, in my Kindle at least. And then Obama joined the conspiracy. Why? What was his? Basically kicked Joe Biden out of the presidential race in 2016 and said, Hillary can do it. She's the one, back her. And now he had to save his reputation. And I'll tell you why prosecutors like conspiracies, and I've certainly prosecuted a bunch, and that is because if you find a meeting of the minds of people agreeing to violate the law, then anything done by any one of them can be used against the others for guilt. Now, we know that there were meetings in December, Tulsi Gabbard just talked about them, where Obama ordered intelligence to be changed. But we have one delicious piece of evidence, and that was January 5th, 2017 in the Obama White House, where there was Obama, Biden, Brennan, Comey, and Susan Rice, who stupidly, because she's dumb as a rock, recorded it on January 20th. And that's where the groundwork was laid for the, as you called it, Chris, the false narrative. In that meeting, Susan Rice says, oh, Obama was concerned about Trump's relationship with the Russians, when he knew from the meetings in December and the intelligence reports that there was no such relationship. And Comey is all upset in that meeting about the fact that, oh, the national security advisor, Mike Flynn, is talking to the Russian ambassador, which is what national security advisors do every single day. But there's where they laid out the false narrative. Obama was part of it, and he's now guilty of everything everyone did throughout the Biden administration.
All right, Robert, 2 minutes on why Barack Obama and his administration are not guilty of a crime.
Well, one, they haven't been accused of a crime. A crime hasn't even been suggested. The crimes that we know of are the 34 felonies that Donald Trump was convicted of, the hundreds of charges that he faced, the thousands of years in prison that we all know he could have faced if he went to trial, if he did not win re-election. And when we start throwing out these ideas that President Obama should be arrested, that a crime has been committed, nothing at all has even been alleged. And what we have to understand is it wasn't just the American intelligence agencies that pointed towards this connection between President Trump and the Russian government. We also had the Five Eyes Security Alliance saying that there were inconsistencies between American doctrine and the relationship President Trump has had with the Russian government. We have to remember the press conference in Helsinki when President Trump said he believed the Russians more than he believed the American people. Whether we were during the campaign when President Trump said, Russia, if you're listening, please find Hillary's emails. There was ample evidence to indicate the relation between President Trump and the Russian government sufficient to raise suspicions that they may have interfered in the U.S. elections. And I think that what we've seen since then has borne out the fact that there was an uncomfortable cooperation between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. Now, the level of coordination, we do not know, but it is very clear that Vladimir Putin's favorite candidate was going to be Donald Trump.
All right, and the court must remind the jury that there has been a criminal referral sent by the Director of National Intelligence to the Department of Justice in this matter. That's something that the jury has to know. Okay, now it's time for closing statements. 1 minute each. Victoria and Joe, counselors, you go first.
There is no doubt, based on all the available evidence, both on the public record and just recently released by the Director of National Intelligence, that beginning in 2016, a group of people, including Barack Obama, Joe Biden, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, Lisa Monaco, Hillary Clinton, conspired to deny Donald Trump his civil rights and conspired to interfere in the upcoming election in 2020 and did everything they could to undermine Donald Trump's lawful authority as president of the United States so that he would not be able to faithfully execute the laws which he was sworn to uphold. That interference in the constitutional process was the crime of denying Donald Trump his civil rights. It is a conspiracy under the civil rights law, and as a result, there is no doubt that that was in fact established by all the available public evidence.
Robert, and your 1 minute closing statement, sir. Go ahead.
Thanks. I happen to be an expert in civil rights law and cannot find a single civil rights law which is even alleged to have been violated. This is what we like to call a nothing burger. This is another ridiculous thing that they throw out there to distract from, as we said, the fact that it was announced today President Trump was informed by the Department of Justice he is involved in the Epstein list. His name is featured on that list. And the American people are demanding answers. You can throw out as many distractions as you want. You can have all the chaff, all the flares. But at the end of the day, the American people want the real information, and they'll have it.
Joe DiGenova, Victoria Tunsing, and Robert Patillo, thank you very much. We appreciate your participation in today's court. Folks, time for you, the jury, to deliberate. Are Barack Obama and several members of his administration guilty of a crime? You can email me or leave me a voicemail at chrissalcedo.com. We will bring you the verdict tomorrow. You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.